All right, hey guys, Cody here with another video. I am going to take this in a little different direction than I have in the past. Most of my videos have obviously been to support individuals pursuing the diplomatic security special agent career. And oftentimes I have questions that, hey, kind of about the bad sides of the career. Not the agency, of course, but just the lifestyle. It's different. It's complicated in many aspects. So I had an individual the other day who is a Patreon member that we helped get past the Bex panel. And he asked, things were moving fast for him. And he says, what are some downsides of the job? Basically talk him out of the job. And I thought that was a great question. If you're single and and life is easy, you can just raise your hand and go anywhere. It's kind of easy for you, right? Especially if you're adventurous. But when you add in, significant others, spouses, children, the job and the lifestyle become a little bit more complicated. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that. So one of the big things is, especially in your initial assignments and these days, because DS right now is currently protecting more people than it normally would. That's because there's threats on the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. I believe we're also covering former UN ambassador and a few others, which usually diplomatic security will release the Secretary of State or former Secretary of State after about 6 months. I believe 6 months is the threshold, unless there's a threat. Right, unless there's a threat that's necessary to maintain that. And right now, DS is continuing to provide protection for a number of individuals from the Trump administration, of course, individuals in the current administration as well, which is causing a lot of people to be busy. So when you get in, and this is not always the case that you're so busy like these guys are now. And again, I'm still tuned into everything going on. I have people in different places that give intel, but they're traveling a lot. So if you're a new special agent, you get into the Houston field office, you get to Los Angeles field office, any of those field offices. It's very possible at a moment's notice. Sometimes within a couple days, sometimes within a couple weeks, you will be tasked to go on a protection detail. Sometimes you'll be tasked to go for 30 days. Right, you might get a 30-day TDY on one particular protection detail, and you have to leave your family that you just brought from, North Dakota to Houston. They're on their own, and you're out for 30 days on a protection detail, and you come back for a couple weeks, and you might be on another protection detail. Right, so there's a lot of traveling in your first couple years. Some of this is volunteer, but otherwise there's like a rotation. If you're in a field office and they need bodies, and they do, you're going to be on that. And so I have friends that go away for 30 days, 60 days at a time, and their families at home just to survive by themselves. And coming back to a spouse that's been with kids for a couple weeks straight or more is not always the most fun thing, and nor is it fun for the spouse that's at home that's taking care of those kids. So just something to think of. Another thing is you move every 2 to 3 years. Now, there's a couple caveats there, but generally, you can do a 1-year assignment in a high threat post. So, Iraq obviously was one of those. Afghanistan back in the day, I believe Pakistan's still a high threat post. They call it another name now, but that's the gist of it. But most posts for newer agents are 2 years as you become a senior level agent or mid level. Just if you're an RSO, regional security officer, the head DS agent at post. Then your post could be 3 years. There's some exceptions where you might get a 4-year, but it's pretty rare. And that could be, maybe kids are finishing high school or something, and someone might make an exception. Or there's not a lot of people bidding on that position. It's a complex, critical post. They may allow you to stay a little longer. But generally, you move every 2 to 3 years. Now, that's something to think about. Do you want to uproot your kids and your family every 2 to 3 years to go to a different state or go to a different country? Some people are okay with it. Some of these kids are very well-rounded. They speak different languages. They learn about the world. And it's not so bad for them. But there's other people that want to kind of set up at home, maybe set up shop and build a community. And in DS, it's really difficult to do that. The exception is if you want to stay in the DC area. If you want to stay in the DC area, a lot of people will buy out there. When they go overseas, they'll rent out their post, they'll come back. They'll rent out their house and they'll come back. But what DC also allows is you have a ton of headquarters assignments, which are actually quite good for your career. So you could, for example, go in the Washington field office and then for 2 years at your first post, and do MSD for 3 years, also traveling a lot, but you're home. And then you could take a headquarters assignment in DC potentially for another 2 years, and then if you wanted, go out to do your overseas tour, which the requirement's still there. I just don't know the parameters. If you have to go, like, if you're home, it used to be a wall. So if you were at home for over 8 years or 6 years, I forget, then you would have to go out. Basically, they'd make you go out because it's the foreign service, right? They make you go overseas. So to meet that requirement, what people would do, or they call it homesteading, you homestead in the DC area, and then you might do a 1 year tour in Iraq. And a 1 year tour in Iraq, for example, would be, say, 3 months on the ground. You come back for 3 weeks. You get 3 more months on the ground. You come back for 3 weeks. You generally spend about 9.5 months actually on the ground. So DC, it's doable. Again, a lot of travel, a lot of sacrifice. You're going to make sacrifice in this job. That's all there is to it. So be prepared. And I think it's advisable to prepare your family for the potentials of, of what's going on. I mentioned the 1 year assignments. That's kind of covered, but basically, yeah, you leave your family for a year. Those are not required. You do not have to do them. All right. It's not that they won't make you do it. It's just an option. All right. And so those obviously take you away from your family. When you live overseas, there's just all these different complexities that come with that. Communication, for example, even if you had language training, some people don't. There's still it's still just different, especially at first, getting used to it. Now you grow into it. It's fine. I did that in Vietnam. I took classes at the consulate, and I ended up loving it, and I thrived there. But initially, for almost a year, it was really hard to communicate. It was hard to get groceries. It was, if you lose electricity or you lose Wi-Fi, for example. I lost Wi-Fi and I was trying to watch the LSU football game, and I was streaming it, and I was pretty livid about that. So, and I tried to get people in, explain exactly, hey, this is showing, this is doing this, and they were kind of like, I don't know how to help you. They ended up figuring it out on their own, but I couldn't articulate that to them. So just everyday living is just more difficult overseas for you and your family. Now, there are some ways to mitigate that. For example, with the groceries and the dry cleaning, for example, I had a maid, and I paid the maid $83 a month, and I gave her a $13 jump, and she gave me a hug. That's how affordable some of these things are. And so she would go get my go get my dry cleaning, drop off my dry cleaning. She would do my regular laundry. She would cook me meals, and she'd order me 6 coconuts a week to arrive at my doorstep, which was fresh coconuts from the countryside, which is amazing. So there's some bennies there too. But same thing with driving is the next thing I was to get into. Is like, look, if you like to drive, if you like your truck, your big truck, you ain't gonna get that thing overseas. There's size requirements. You're better off using an SUV, maybe a Toyota, because those can be fixed kind of anywhere in the world. But you can also get drivers. So there's a way to mitigate some of these issues that you might face at post. But in general, if you like driving, if you want to drive on your own, then, you won't always have that option. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you better ship your car. Sometimes you won't. All these posts have all these different variables that you have to go through. On that note, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but there are post reports when you're in the government that you can look at to see, like, hey, can I bring my dog? Which is another issue. If you have an animal, might not be able to bring it. But you can look at that. Can I bring my dog? What are the issues when I arrive? Do they quarantine my dog? Can I get him right away? Or any animal that, is allowed. Can you bring, if you're not married, can you bring a significant other to live at post, right? Some places are easy to get visas. They just live with you like a resident of the country. Other places, they just won't allow it, right? But there are post reports that will tell you all of this before you bid on these assignments. You can just read them and research them. So you do have some knowledge. You can also ping people that have been there. DS is a small organization, and there are people that will certainly be willing to help you. So another thing that I hated was sickness, and not severe sickness. I guess it could happen, but you're going to get sick at every post you go to. If you don't, message me and tell me you didn't, because I think that's it's just like common. Our stomachs don't handle food like and other things like some of these other countries might have really spicy food, or their requirements for sanitation might not be the same, and you might get sick. I've got sick at every post multiple times. Usually stomach sickness. Sometimes you get other things. But that is something that you and your family will experience. What are the medical facilities like? Again, you will have a post report, and you can go and check, out how good the medical facilities are. If you have a medical condition, they'll have an assessment on you or your family. Or if your family member doesn't, you might be able to get to a better post that would allow for the medical care that you need, although it's not guaranteed. So that's sickness is just comes with the territory. If you just go on a trip traveling overseas, you're likely to get that too. But do you want to see your kids and your family go through that? And are there medical facilities that can accommodate you up to your needs? Right. I didn't need much when I was single doing this. You give me some medicine and I'll suck it up, drink some water, and take a knee and be good. But other places, other people have higher level of standards, and some of these places don't have it. Another thing is there's a way to get you medicine overseas. Like if you have required medicine, you have to take medications, you have to take. But one of the things is vaccinations, and this is not the COVID vaccine. This is just all vaccines. If you have a religious exemption or are not interested in regular vaccines, but like the vaccines that we've been taking through the years that might be required, or pills like malaria pills, for example, you'll be required to take some of that. So if you have some type of whether it's a religious exemption or some type of just an issue taking those, not going to be the job for you, because you're going to be required to take those. Some of the countries that you go to require you to take it, and then sometimes the State Department or the U.S. government requires you to take it. I believe everyone is required to take the COVID-19 for the state COVID-19 vaccination. That at least was what was going on. I'm not sure exactly right now, but bottom line is, if you are concerned about any vaccination and taking any pills that are required of you to go to these posts, then that would be something. And giving your kids these things too, right? All right, giving your kids these vaccines that you may not really want to is something you need to think about. So those are just some items that you'll have to consider before going on. This is not. I would never disparage the agency. There's issues with the job. It's just part of it. I think it's best knowing up front, so that we don't have people that get into it for a year and are like, I say we, DS, but are like, hey, I'm out, because I can't handle it. So I think this might be one of my videos that probably adds more value for those of you that are have a family. As always, send me a message if you have questions. We can hop on a call. I do put other things into my Patreon, other information about living overseas, just different information I don't put out in public. I put on my Patreon account, and that is a $5 a month charge. You can cancel anytime, and then you get stories that didn't make the book. You get anecdotal stories. You get a little kind of knowledge and training about being a good regional security officer or DS agent. What some things you might be able to do to increase your chances. Global security issues. We also talk about there's another option. You can go all the way up to $75 a month, where I'll help you do mock interviews for your training, look at your resume, help you with writing samples, things like that. So if you're interested, you can check that out, patreon.com/offthex_inc. Anyway, that's it. I'll do my usual. I'll advertise a little bit. I have some things. I got to pay the bills doing this stuff. It costs a little bit of money, but I have a new mug that's really nice. Nice for camp. It does come with a cover, so you can cover it and use it for the drive. It does not fit very well into all like truck or car. What's it called? Cup holsters. But it's a nice cup, and so if you buy one of these, that's supporting the kind of what I'm doing and the cost that come associated with. Also, I have shirts, I have hats, you name it. I have, this one's kind of beat up, but it's a high threat protection kind of. That's like a contractor casual hats. I actually don't have any more of those. Those were popular. The trucker style hats, high threat protection, or off the X. You can get both patches, and then we have the off the X. You can get high threat protection on these as well. It's all on my website, codyperron.com. The biggest item that sells is the hoodie. Great hoodie, Gildan hoodie, and it's got the Off the X logo on the front, and the high threat protection on the back, which is pretty cool. You don't have to done, high threat protection. You haven't had to be in that career if you don't, if you've, freaking American, get it if you want to wear it, you wear it. But it's a nice hoodie. It works well. Look, I'm not an apparel company, so I have a few, like I said, I have a few items, I have a few T-shirts left, but those go pretty fast, and they're good for the holidays. If you're interested in getting someone, something for the holidays that might be supportive, and you're supporting a good cause. I do online, my hair's jacked, the little hair that I have. I have the my Instagram's @offthex_inc. I do some, everything from DS stuff. Talk about DS, global security, personal safety, and I just put out content. The way I look at anything I do, even in my actual job, is I'm looking at either add value or add entertainment, right? So I try to entertain and try to add value, and I think both, are important. To one, if you're going to add value, you're not entertaining, people are just going to look the other way because it's going to be boring. So that's my overall objective. Anyway, starting to ramble now, but it's all at CodyPerron.com if you are interested in buying any apparel. And as always, I am very grateful and thankful for the support. Last thing, a new the podcast, Off the X podcast, the Off the X podcast. If you haven't listened to it, I have 20 or so episodes. It's got about 40,000 plus downloads. But I have a new podcast coming out. It's going to drop this week. So check it out. All right. Thanks, y'all. Out.